Welcome back to Supply Chain Africa News. My name is Wandabu Wanyama and we are still with Alphonce Juma, the founder of ORACOM. He started offering free services and now ORACOM is one of the best performing SMEs in the country. So before the break, we were talking about a couple of things. And what's that one thing that you wished someone could have told you before you joined entrepreneur?
I think the biggest thing is having a mentor. I didn't have one. Yeah, just somebody who tells you what you need to do at any given time. My first baptism in business was when I got my first big client. And you know what? That was KRA. KRA, yes, was my first client. I remember we were still in Kileleshwa. And then one day we got a request for bulk SMS services, which you are offering. And then they sent that we share a quotation. And we did share that quotation. And it went to them. And then they approved it. We were there seated wondering, do they know even, we don't have even a place. But they gave us the business. Then we didn't know. Within a short period of time, they're asking us for the the ETR receipt and all this. And then we realized, oh, we had not done the right necessary things. So it was really difficult. In 1 week alone, we had to make sure we are compliant. And I think that's something that really changed our business, because from that time, and based on the nature of our first big client, we trained ourselves that you can't have, when the prefect himself is your client, you really have to make sure your records are good, because after all, they are paying you, so you have to make sure they are straight. That's one thing that we didn't know before. But in case we had a mentor who was able to walk with us that journey, life would have been very, very good.
What should the government do in order to help these upcoming SMEs or the startup businesses so that they can just fly?
Yeah, I think the government really needs to do a lot, especially with access to information about business. And that information, though during COVID, I've seen a number of programs that have come in, like Ajira, that now gives a lot of programs for people. You're able to learn more about where to get help, which ministry do you run into. That has been very fantastic. I've also seen a lot, especially with KEPSA, now with their COVID-19 Ecommerce bootstrap, that they also give that at least to support businesses. But the first big support that's needed for any business that's starting is capital. Where do you get your first capital? Myself, I tried with banks when I was just starting, and I went to my bank. I would say I already started doing very good amounts on that account. But just like our tradition, like our banks, I don't like them, by the way. They had to, tell me you have to get a car logbook, you have to get a title deed.
Collateral.
Yeah, and then, that's it. There's nothing else you can do. And life then becomes very difficult, especially when you start and there's no good financial cash flow for your business. It becomes very, very difficult. The other thing is learning. And learning always, if the government can have programs where the people are able to learn about different aspects of business, like how do you start your business, what are some of the business ideas that would work for you, how do you make sure that your business is valid, you've started with the right documentation, all that thing. That aspect of learning, I see it a bit lacking. And the other thing, of course, that the government can always do is to make this taxation and things like that to be a little bit less strict for the person who is just starting.
Yeah.
Actually, it's always very worse that when you just start, you have to be thinking about everything, compliance. You have to be thinking about it. You have to be thinking about the tax, and sometimes even the little money that you're using, you need it for business. Yeah, so I don't know to what level this can be, but how I would wish that there could just be a way in which the startups that are starting, they are given, their rules are not as strict as businesses that are already established.
There was a research that was done, and it was discovered that most of these SMEs do not celebrate their second birthday. What's that big mistake that these SMEs make to prevent them from celebrating their second birthday?
Actually, it's very true. I think us now, we are proud we've done 10th. Last year, before COVID, we were to celebrate 10. Yeah, but what really happens is it depends on how you start your business and how you strategize for your business. What I always say is a business, you have to plan and put strategy, and it has to be that way. There is no other way, and then you work hard. So one thing that we do as business people is we start the business, and then after we've started the business, you don't work hard on your business, because what you are told before, or what you wanted to get before, was that when you start your own business, you're the boss. From my own experience, starting your business makes you the opposite of the boss. Myself, these days, I always say, like, even if you want to take ORACOM, you want to be the CEO, like, just take it. It's not easy. When I started ORACOM, though life was a bit, we were staying in an SQ, what I could do is, and I still do it up to now, by the way, is I could cover, in every one day, I would cover an extra day. Yeah. Actually, that's the secret behind ORACOM. These days, though nimelegea kidogo, but these days I wake up at 4. And then I work up to around 8 in the morning. From that time, when you look at it, my active hours are already there. I've already covered like almost a whole day. And that's what I used to do then. It's a lot of hard work you have to put into it. So by the time I leave and then I go to work, I've already covered one day. And then I begin with my stuff. At the exact time now, again, we start from 8, and then we have to take it all up to the end of day. So that's very important. You have to work hard. Being the head of the company or being the founder or the CEO is more difficult. Because
it's not that prestigious as people think.
It's not. For me, like when I look at the diary of when I wake up, the first thing is about competitors, studying. I think I'm that guy who is so passionate about this thing we call data. Like, how are you going to reach your next client? And then this thing you called analyzing competition. I literally study them. Like, I already know. Even what they posted yesterday on their channels, I already know. Okay. So that really becomes important, because until you know how you're able to beat your competition, then at least you think about something extra that you're giving into the market.
Speaking about competition, as the ORACOM CEO, what different thing are you bringing to the market to make sure that now you still outsmart these other companies?
Yeah, automation. Automation, like, it's the backbone of ORACOM, because just before COVID came, I always tell people I had like 46 staff, 46 full-time staff before COVID. And what used to happen, I was still the person who would give the projects. I had my brand heads. And then one project could be handled by, let's say, 5 people. So when COVID came, so many things changed. So one thing that changed was we decided to automate, because now our staff were working from home. So automation is just making sure that the computer is able to do certain work, because sometimes the computer can always do it. So we deployed these channels. We put up a channel that would receive for us all chats or all communications that is coming from any other platform. So be it a client is trying to chat us on Facebook, it would go to one dashboard, and then this person would pick it up. Initially, it would take us maybe 3-4 people who have to manage and just look at Facebook, who is chatting today and how do I reply to them. So we automated that aspect. The other thing that we did was, and when we automated, actually we reduced our number of staff. And we had to, leave some of them or release some of them, because then work was a little bit easier. I think those are some of the gains of COVID. Okay. Yeah, COVID has brought a lot of negative things, but there are certain things it's made us be able to do. Because like for these days, our staff members, they work from home. And I've realized like productivity has gone so high, because when I work from home, I don't have to waste time again on the roads. Like right now, Mombasa Road is very bad. So it's much easier for them.
When you talk about staff, one thing I realized about your company is that your staff, most of them are youth. Yeah. What's the secret behind it?
They are very hardworking, number one, and they are very creative also. With my staff, actually, when you walk in there, there is no one. Like, I'm the oldest of all of them. So I'm the mzee. And what happens is they think. Actually, these days when I get a staff, the next thing I start thinking about is how about their growth, because some of them, they grow very fast. So you have to, as an employer, you have to think about what next. So sometimes it really becomes a big thing for me, because if a staff joins, you have to make sure they grow. If they don't grow up to certain level, they'll feel they are not offering value. So what they'll do is to go. So what you do next is to make sure you grow with them. And that's one thing that really excites them, that the company is growing, like they see you on KCB Lions, then they feel, yes, when they go home, yes, that was our company. The one you're watching there, that's my CEO.
You've talked about the KCB Lions Den. How was that experience for you?
Very big, very fantastic. It changed my business because of what happened at KCB Lions. Then, first of all, the way they mentor you before you go to the show, and then the way they make the scene so hidden. By the way, when you go to KCB Lions, then I don't know whether it's by design, but they make sure they pick you very early until you don't know where you're going to, and then they drop you somewhere, and then it's the den. Yeah, but when I went to KCB Lions den, one thing that changed me was the comments that came from the business moguls that were there, those investors. Each one of them, can you imagine, after I had done all the presentation and I'm waiting for an investor to invest in my business, somebody says, 10 million, you're looking for 10 million? 10 million is too small. Actually, she was saying, if it's for marketing, it's too small. And if it's expansion is too soon. So you're like, 10 million, too small. How?
What do you mean?
What do you mean by it's too small?
What's the biggest lesson that you learned from the Lions Den?
What I learned from there is those guys are very strategic. They actually, as you talk, they already know whether they're going to invest in your business or not. And also they like businesses that are very straight. When you're in business, sometimes you feel like over presenting or hyping your business for no reason. So for them, they are very like they make sure that you don't fake things, because the checks are there. They make sure that every step, you can easily account. So when you say I've been making X amount of money, you must account for it. Yeah, and that really makes you be a honest person with your business.
Okay. Looking at the education system in Kenya, was it meant to channel employers or employees?
Education and my life in Moi University, I think, I just don't know, but what the university gave me is not what has helped me a lot. But the lifestyle that I went through in the university has really helped me. Yeah. I always say that if given a chance and I was to go back to the university, if I'm given either to go learn or just to get the experience, I would choose go for the experience. Because what I learned in Moi, I was doing information science, but most of that, I don't find them in real life. It's very different. So the our education system, when I look at it in relation to what I've experienced in business, they are not it's why couldn't the lecturer just tell you this? Because this is real life. When it comes to, in tech, you have to be the real guy. You have to be able to do it. And what the education system does is, they have to train you a lot of things, a lot of theories, and relating that to work is not easy. I still see it when I do interviews for my staff. And there was a time in 2017 that I decided to, literally not engage people who are from universities at that time.
Yeah. So you mean degree is not important?
By that time, I made that decision. Actually, I would call for interviews, but then every time I would give someone who has a degree a chance, and then I would give someone who is from a college. This college guy was very practical. He really hustles to make it. Yeah, so at that stage of growth, I must admit at certain stages, what you need are people who are building. Yeah, you don't need you need people who are able to literally do it, especially when you're in a tech system like myself. So what I did then was I got this team, and that team worked excellent. It was very good because they can practically do it. Though as business grows and as you continue growing your business, sometimes these people from the university, they give you something extra that you can't get again from the other sort. So creating a mix of the two, just a balance for a business, is always very fantastic.
I know you have worked with a couple of clients, both internationally and locally. How did you manage to get all these clients on board?
I think our marketing is always very strategic. What we do is we've put our company to rely a lot on data, and our marketing also is very good. For all our services, just go online, look for web design in Kenya. You'll find us ranking number 1 or number 2. Look for bulk SMS services in Kenya. Look for domain registration in Kenya. Look for digital marketing agency in Kenya. Anything you look for, you'll always find us on top. That has really helped us. And it started in 2015. Actually, it started before my employer fired me, because I was employed to do the SEO, but I also had this company that I was doing, my company now, ORACOM. And then when I was still there, I've been so good, like in SEO, like I already know those algorithms for ranking. So what happened next was my company just decided to, I don't know how it happened, but it decided to rank on top of my employer's company. Yeah. And then I knew I was going to be fired, and so I fired myself. I fired myself when I was already planned for firing the next weekend.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about the evolution in technology. As ORACOM, how are you positioning yourself to make sure that you won't run out of business?
I don't know, but I think ORACOM is the next big thing. Like, it's the thing to watch. I want to give you like 2 examples, just 2 examples. So when we started the business, and even amount of money that we could spend on social media, advertising alone, in a month we could spend like Kenya shillings 100,000 in a month. So we sat down with our staff. I'll tell you what we do. We actually have a room called thinking room, where we just think. So we decided and said, how about if we build our own social media? And we built a social media website. It's called Pearl City, and we launched it. And right now is growing. I don't want to talk more about it, but just know there's a big social media platform already in the market right now, growing very fast. You will tell me one day. So when we come up with these innovations, we've also done a search engine just like Google, which is meant for businesses also. It's also a very interesting technology. And the last thing we've built is the Ecommerce, which was at the KCBS Lions 10. So all these things, when we look at them, we are not moved by the fact that we are making money, but we are moved by the fact that we are changing lives and making people's lives better. That's our motivation for business.
So, what you're trying to say is the startups should focus on service delivery before they focus on profits.
Exactly. You have to. I think our company, we don't know what profit is, by the way. We still don't know. Up to this stage, we don't know what profit is, because we plow everything. Right now, we've set up like 11 companies, all under ORACOM. Until last year, we had to call it ORACOM Group. But the strategy is so big, and people really have to think about what happens. I want to give you an example of when COVID came in relation to our business. 2 of our companies, of the 11 companies, were completely run down by COVID. One of them was a training, because we could train in hotels. So our last training was at Pride Inn, and then that day they announced that there's no more meetings. So that brand went down. We had to revive it. And then another one was photography and video. So initially, people would come and then take photos. And in that period of COVID 2020, people were all in masks. No one was interested in photography. So you have to really be strategic on how you position yourself.
Let's talk about the e-commerce supermarkets that you're setting up.
Yeah. The My Big Order. My Big Order is, we started it as an e-commerce platform, just purely e-commerce. But when I went to the KCBS Lions Den, out of the comments that everyone else gave, I decided to hold on and go back into development. Because if you look at what they were saying, somebody was saying 10 million is too small. So I was like, what do you mean by 10 million is too small? It means then, as a startup, you have to invest in a lot of money for this thing called marketing. Then it also means that marketing is not a cheap thing. Actually, it's not. Just marketing alone is very expensive. And then the next thing they talked about is that if I take your goods, for e-commerce, you have to take the products, you have to pick the product, like us, we do drop shipping. So you have to pick the product, come with it, and then you take it to the customer. All that process, many suppliers, they prefer that they take all that product in a box, and then they give it to you, you break the box, and then you sell. They don't want you to be going and then you pick one, just a piece of it. So what we decided to do was now to just set up a full-fledged supermarket.
Okay.
Yeah, and from that now we've become a very good friend of suppliers, and they give us at very good prices. I think we are part of now, we are closing the supply chain.
Who knows when we might partner with you guys.
Yeah.
Who is your mentor?
For me and my business, and people will just forgive me. Yeah. But I don't have a mentor. I tried. There was a time I tried to have a mentor. But I realized that sometimes there's somebody who would, it depends on the dream also. Somebody who you would tell him, can we do this? Like I remember when we were starting the physical supermarket, everything was odd. And a mentor would say, this is a business mistake. Look at your financial flow first. But I saw an opportunity and we went for it.
You had to go for it.
If I was reading any book, I would say that I have to stop because this book says A, B, C, D. So I always say for me it's about risk taking, and everyone else tries to tell me, like another person says 11 companies. Why? Close them, remain with one, concentrate on one. That's what the book tells you. That pick one service, concentrate on it.
Okay. What has been your worst moment in business?
There was a time our office was auctioned. So what happened was when we left just Kileleshwa, we came to this offices that you're given a room and then you pay the person. So what happened was this guy, as we were paying, it was a very small room, we were paying like 30K. He wasn't paying the owner of the house. So we didn't know. So what happened next is one day, it was around lunchtime, we just had, I don't know how auctioneers they behave, though, that's a bad habit. But it was at lunchtime, they just came and banged the door, and then they were like, everyone out.
I've
like they made
that.
It dramatic until you were like, you scared. What's going on here?
You can't even pick your belongings.
Nothing. Everyone out.
Okay.
And then we were there. That guy had realized that they were coming, so he didn't come the whole of that week. But me with my staff in that small room, we were all there. So they came in and they told us that and said, we have to go out. We started crying. We asked them, why? But we've been paying. And then, are you the owner of the lease? And then, no. And then all that. They were making calls to the police. We've just found some young man here. He looks genuine and he's also in this office. What do we do? And then they took everything. And we had to start from scratch. That was in 2015. I remember that day. I had 6 staff members. 2 of them are still with me to date. And the reason why they don't want to leave is because of what we went through. We started from literally scratch because auctioneers took everything.
Any advice to the youth who wants to be an entrepreneur?
Work hard. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if the term is entrepreneurship, think about risk taking. I always say if you want to take a risk, then you'll grow faster in business, because sometimes it's all about seeing an opportunity and then you look at how do you reach there. Think about that. The next thing is work hard and be honest with your clients especially. Sometimes we pick businesses, a lot of them from clients, and then we do shoddy work. Then the client is not happy, the client is not impressed, and then you just say, it's okay, you already paid me. But what you're losing is that this client, their referral is the reason why a business is able to grow.
Okay. You have shaken the industry so far. ORACOM is a big deal. What's next for ORACOM?
No. ORACOM is a small deal. There are 2 deals we have. First of all, on my big order, because we have already built county marketplaces. Where is your hometown?
Kimilili.
Kimilili, which constituency?
Kimilili constituency.
And which county?
Bungoma County.
Bungoma County. So right now when you go to my big order, there is a place called Marketplaces. You can search it. We've already worked on that concept. It's already working very fantastic. On the marketplaces, you'll find all the 47 counties. And if you pick one county, you're able to see all the sellers who are selling in that county, which already means that we're already breaking this chain of SMEs. And we are already onboarding them on the platform. And then from there also, within your next town, which is Kimilili now, you'll be able to see that person who is selling from there. That's the next big thing. That's really going to be big. We've already tested and it's already working fantastic. Next is we are the social media. Okay. Pearl City, we are the social media. And lastly, we've built a Google for corporates. Okay. These two platforms, maybe just to let you know, we've built Pearl City. But from the day we set it rolling, we realized that, I don't know how it happened, but some of the platforms started blocking anyone who was sharing any of the links about our platform. And it's all about manipulation. So it's story for another day. But what these big giants also are afraid of is they always do a lot of research on what's already coming up. And then they try to either buy you or to make sure you don't grow.
Run out of business.
So with these signs already we are seeing from some of the big social media platforms, we know we have something. And it's just a matter of time.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Juma, for coming through. And, your story is such an inspiration to all of us, like who are in this room, and for those people who are watching. And to you, our viewer, thank you very much for keeping it Supply Chain Africa News. Always remember, every Friday we have a new video on our YouTube channel. Remember also to read our stories on www.supplychainafricanews. And also you can follow us on our social media handles, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. We are all at Supply Chain Africa News. Until next time, my name is Wanda Bonyama.